Birds Outsiders is presented by Sugar House Casino.
And would you take a look at this? The Eagles secondary has been so bad today that it would only take John Middleton like 7 days to decide it needs replacing. Ooh, what a double burn. Rough week here in Philadelphia sports.
Yeah, and somewhere in the distance, I think we all hear Kirk Cousins whispering. You like that?
Oh.
Like, no, I don't like that, Kurt. Welcome to Birds Outsiders, presented by Sugar House Casino. I'm Jason Ashworth. I'm joined alongside Natalie Egenolf and Roy Burton. Of course, we want to take your comments. We've been following them the entire time on social media. Use the hashtag Birds Outsiders. Let me frame this real quick. Roy, I'll start with you.
Okay.
We knew coming into this it was going to be a 6-game stretch, and they were going to face all playoff caliber opponents. We knew that headed into it. We even said, I don't care how you get to 4-2. I don't care how you get to 3-3 bare minimum. Just get there. Mm-hmm. Context matters.
It does.
What you saw today, a 38-20 loss to the Vikings.
Right.
How big of a loss is this?
I think this is a very big loss, not just because of the fact that you got basically smoked by the Vikings, but this is, again, the 6-game stretch, again, 6 playoff caliber teams. Most importantly, you just had a 2-game winning streak. You were just starting to put together some momentum that you would have liked to have had going into Dallas next Sunday night, a big game against a divisional opponent. You lose this game, you start off the stretch, 0-1, and not only that, this is the 3rd NFC game you've lost in the season. So you lost to Atlanta, you lost to Detroit, and you lost to Minnesota. That's going to be come playoff time and positioning, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Roy on the momentum aspect. I also feel like what I'm taking away from today's game is I feel like this team looks lost. And apparently Malcolm Jenkins said it in the post-game. Where is their identity? I don't even think they know because they can't figure it out. They can't figure out how to get into a groove. There's so many issues that I think that it's not even easy to pinpoint exactly, okay, we need to replace this, to fix this, to fix that, to fix this. They look so lost to me, and I'm more concerned now than I have ever been.
And you should be.
Yeah.
And again, when we were pregame, we were at Tradesman's, right? We even went Instagram Live, and we were having a conversation about the importance of this game. And I said to you, I'm not that worried about it if they lose. If they lose, they lose. But I did say context matters. And what I saw today, and I'm not trying to overreact, they're an average football team. Mm-hmm. It's just that simple. They are what their record says they are, and that's a 500 ball club. They're not an elite football team. They're not below average, but right now, they're just an average football team, and there are a lot of holes. There are a lot of issues. Let's start on the defensive side of the ball. We saw it all day. This secondary isn't up to par. You can't win if you're trotting out Sidney Jones and Rasul Douglas. Yeah. Stephon Diggs and Thielen had a day.
Yeah. They were so overmatched. The Eagles quarterbacks were so overmatched with those two. Mm-hmm. It looked like Pee-wee. It looked like Pee-wee. What zone? What zone were you playing in? Because it was so frustrating to just see how they manhandled them, literally.
It's been a season-long thing, though. Like, Stephon Diggs, again, had an amazing day today.
Yeah.
He's the 6th receiver to have a 100-yard day against the Eagles in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's not just today. It's going to Adam Thielen. It's, Calvin Ridley. It's Julio Jones.
Yeah.
This is a serious issue.
Well, and if you think about the cornerback situation as a whole, when was the last time that you can think to yourself, outside of situational, plays, that, you know what, we're going to get in there, and I know that this guy is going to be able to take care of that guy. When was the last time?
Well, that's
and how many years ago was that? What, 8? 10?
Yeah.
10 years ago?
Look, that's 167 and 3 touchdowns for Stephon Diggs. And they were off the jump. Yeah, they were off the bat, and they got in a whole bang, bang, bang. And now the problem is, at one point, you even had Sidney Jones replaced by Craig James.
Craig James, right.
So if that's not explaining, look, we have a guy who's undrafted, was on the practice squad. He's now replacing your quote-unquote stud you wanted to draft in the first round. Achilles injury dropped him back. Right. But at what point is enough for Sidney Jones? I want the kid to succeed more than anybody else does. But at what point do you have to say it is what it is?
And you think about it, heading into this week, Doug Peterson said earlier in this week, he kind of threw him under the bus a little, and then in the postgame today, you hear people saying, if you're not confident, then you don't need to be out on the field. Mm-hmm. While they're not explicitly stating him, there's nobody else who's showing up on the field that makes you question it as much as it does with Sidney Jones.
I'm not telling you, Roy, I don't know whether he lacks the confidence mentally. I don't think it's physically.
Physically.
He
can't keep up. He can't keep up.
But that's the thing. Physically, is anybody on this team, or any of the cornerbacks on this team, physically good enough to stay with number 1 wide receiver?
I would have coming into today.
You would have said
I would have told you Rasul Douglas.
Yeah. But then again, you saw the back of his jersey a lot today. You saw the back of his jersey a lot all day. I've never seen so much separation on 2 touchdown catches as I saw on those 2 Diggs touchdowns.
Well, and if you think about it, the Vikings, the Vikings, everybody was aware. They watched the tape. The Vikings were aware that this is what they were going to get.
Right.
So that's exactly what they planned for. And it worked. I mean, it was almost flawless.
If you
for that.
watched, and we said coming into the game,
like
right?
A stud.
The matchup was, well, the Eagles are a really good run defense.
Correct.
The Vikings run the ball really well. And a lot of people thought
we'll have it all figured out.
Well, a lot of people thought that's where the matchup is, right? That wasn't where the matchup is at all.
Right.
Because in reality, they said, okay, that's great. You stopped the run well. You suck in coverage. So I'm going to take advantage of you all day. And that's exactly what they did.
Larry says my grandma can cover better than the secondary. That's how people are feeling.
Look, I mean, at this point, I understand. Let's get back to the run defense. They did their job. They held Dalvin Cook to about 41 yards at an average of 2.6 a clip. Now, again, let's preface this. They didn't really need to run the ball, all right? So I don't know how much stock I put into that. But, again, the defensive line, just a week removed from getting 10 sacks.
10 sacks. I mean...
Can't pressure Kirk Cousins at all. And you couple that with a secondary that can't cover it all, and it's a recipe for disaster.
See, that's the thing. I'm a fan of the saying, water finds its level. Like, I knew the Eagles' defensive line wasn't as bad as the first 4 games where they got 3 sacks. But I knew they weren't as good as 10 games.
Last week against the Jets,
last week against the Jets.
Yeah.
I thought there would be some middle ground in this. Maybe this is just who they are. Maybe this is what the pass rush is.
And we have to accept for it and plan for that going forward.
When we have so much talent, then it shouldn't be this bad.
Well, and now you're thinking about it. Now, here we are in week 6, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, there was one, first week, second week, third week. Now we're on week 6.
Right.
If things don't turn around and they don't turn around quick, if that's it.
This is who they are.
This is who this team is when it's so far from the expectations that we had going into the season.
It just made, when you rewind a week ago and you look at the Jets, you just realize that maybe that was the blip.
Yeah, that was the outlier.
The Jets were the outlier versus, okay, you are who you are.
You are either the rule or the exception. This might be the rule.
And I don't want to bang on just the defense. The defense had their troubles. It was evident. We don't need to beat the dead horse. The offense, in terms of we'll get into Carson Wentz, because I'm not going to tell you Carson Wentz had a great game, but I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that Carson Wentz had an abysmal game. Okay, he was okay, but I look at who he's throwing the football to, and I want to tell you, I don't think Carson Wentz has any playmakers. No, this isn't to say that Alshon Jeffrey can't make a play. It's not to say we haven't seen Nelson Aguilar make a play.
Correct.
It's not to say that we don't know that guys on this team are capable, Zach Ertz, of making big plays. But right now,
for some reason, they can't execute. They cannot find their rhythm. That's what I keep saying over and over again. Even when Carson extends the play to make the play, it still doesn't work. And he's sacrificing himself.
The thing was, it was so apparent that they don't have playmakers in a game like today, where the Vikings are loaded with playmakers. Like, you look at the plays, 7 different Vikings had plays of 15 yards or more. 7 different guys. Name me the guys on the Eagles team who you have confidence in making a 15, 20-yard play on a consistent basis.
Zach Ertz. That's the guy.
Zach Ertz.
And maybe Miles Sanders.
Maybe Alshon.
Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders.
And maybe Alshon. It's like 3 guys.
It's not enough.
Well, what does it say when your biggest vertical threat is your rookie second-round running back?
Called that.
That's your biggest vertical receiving threat? That's a problem. And where's Arcega-Whiteside?
Where's Arcega-Whiteside?
Matt Collins. Outside of being a special teams contributor, he's been a stiff on the football field.
He's had 1 catch in the last 3 games. 1 catch for Matt Collins, who's getting the lion's share of the snaps of wide receiver with Deshaun out. 1 catch in 3 games.
It looked like he gave up today. It looked like at one point he.
Well, that one where he didn't block.
Where he didn't block, he's just kind of throwing himself out there. He's like running around the field. What are you doing?
So what's the recipe? How do we fix it?
Well, look, people are going to quickly tell you, well, when Deshaun Jackson comes back, it's going to open up the entire offense. I poo-poo that because I said, you don't have Deshaun Jackson. If any offense is simply predicated on one person, then what are you doing the week before to game plan?
Correct.
Like I'm not going to blame all of this on the fact that they don't have Deshaun Jackson. You've still got a job to do. Right. You still got to catch the football, execute on offense, create a game plan that works. And so far, Doug Peterson hasn't done that.
And I think thinking about today's game, prior to going into today's game, maybe Deshaun would have been the answer. But this game totally blew the top off of anything that would be the case. That Deshaun's going to come in and save this whole season. Because what if they don't have it together? Sure. Deshaun's not going to be who he was when he was in training camp, when they were in practice.
The onus falls on Doug Peterson, and the onus fell on him today as well. Let's take a look at what Doug did. So
do we have to? We really have to.
If we've got a couple minutes.
We have to talk about the one. I don't want to talk about the fake field goal.
There's a couple things that we can look at because he didn't challenge a defensive pass interference that probably was, albeit I can understand why you wouldn't challenge that. They don't get called. Right?
They don't.
He didn't challenge the catch with Stephon Diggs, but arguably The most questionable decision that Doug Peterson made, it was 4th and 4 on Minnesota's 21. I think it was a 21-10 game.
Yep.
And he elects a fake field goal. Right decision?
Wrong decision. You're getting the ball after halftime. Get the points. Go into halftime again. You're still down, but you're going to get the ball, run down the field, go down the field again. It's a ball game again. You can score. You can score at 10 points reasonably.
Yes.
You know, if everything works together. Calling a fake field goal, having your kicker throw a pass to one option. There was one option on that side of the field.
Yeah.
Dallas got it. One option on that side of the field. I don't even know where that play came from. Throw it away. Just throw it away.
It reeks of desperation. That reeked of desperation. I was embarrassed by that play.
What was it?
Why? And then what's Jake going to do? He's going to spike the ball, and then they're going to have to kick another field goal anyway?
Here's
Why?
what people aren't paying attention
Why?
to. Let's just say Dallas Goedert catches that and he's tackled down. You're left with Jake Elliott on the field to run up and manage an offense and try and clock it. There's no way you're running Carson Wentz out there and trying. But if he doesn't get out of bounds with no timeouts, I just don't understand the decision making. I watched that play, and God's honest, I
saw him tear up.
I felt like I was watching an offense try to mimic some of the smarter guys out there. Like, well, these other guys through the analytics phase, they're going for it on 4th down. They're getting creative. They're being sneaky. I felt like I was watching a bad team try to play the role of a creative and a smart football team.
Yeah.
I didn't see it was out of character.
And I'm always one to defend Doug's aggression, but it was just so baseless. And I love Doug. Doug, I love you. Worst play call of your entire career.
But
I'm sorry.
Not just that.
Here in Philadelphia.
The play calling altogether today was pretty terrible.
It was strange.
I mean, just the first quarter. So the first quarter, you had 6 rushes and 1 pass. Okay,
Yeah.
That's fine. The rush didn't work. You want to mix it up a little bit, maybe? They called 24 passes.
24 passes.
In the second quarter alone. It's like there's a little bit of a balance. Like, the game wasn't out of reach in the second quarter. You could have mixed in a little bit of the run that was working at times.
Yeah.
You could have mixed in a little bit of the run. Instead, you throw 24 passes, including that Jake Elliott pass, and now the game's pretty much out of reach.
And
Go ahead, please.
And I said that going into this game, that if you could tell what Doug's going to do when we're watching on a television, do you think that the opposing teams aren't going to have his number? Yeah. If we could tell what he was going to do, how many times did we call those plays today?
Right.
They're going to run here. They're going to pass here. If I can tell, what does that say? What does that say about the decisions that he's making?
Yeah, right now you're missing some of that creative, the ingenuity that we're used to seeing from Doug Peterson. But look, God's honest again, to be true to it, when you go down 24-3, or was it 24-3?
24-3.
24-3, you got to back yourself into a hole. And you become one-dimensional. That's what Doug was.
And speaking about backing yourself into a hole, I think that there was somebody who might have had a little bit to say earlier in the week about Kirk Cousins. Zach Brown calling out Kirk Cousins' narrator. It didn't pay off. That is indeed a bold strategy, Cotton. I don't know what he was thinking. And also, what was Carson Wentz thinking? And what do you think,
dapper.
guys?
That's what he was thinking.
He's looking dapper. We'll talk about that and more when Birds Outsiders returns.
Made man.
Yes, the defense is bad. Can't cover bad tackling and no QB pressure, but let's not sugarcoat that Carson was not good today. Hashtag Birds Outsiders. I don't know, Jason?
I'm not so sure I agree with that. Welcome back to Birds Outsiders, presented by Sugar House Casino. A lot of things went wrong today.
Yes.
I agree. And I don't think that Carson Wentz was at his best. I agree. But ultimately, I don't know that if I'm ranking things, I don't know where Carson Wentz falls on that list of who I really need to point to. Roy, I'm not putting this one on the QB?
I'm not putting this one on the QB.
Right.
Again, Carson Wentz, again, you look at the numbers look good, but 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, the garbage interception. He extended plays. If Carson Wentz was the reason or one of the reasons behind today, they wouldn't have even had a chance later in the game to be in this. But here's the thing. Of all the lists on the list of things to be mad about, Carson's worse because Carson's on the bottom because he
very bottom.
He extends the plays, right? He's a guy he's throwing dimes to Alshon Jeffrey. He's covering up for the sins of the offensive line. I'm not going to put this on Carson Wentz. There's a lot of other guys to talk about. He's probably last.
However, his outfit today may have been a little bit of a sin. It got a ton of reaction on social media, and look, I said he's like strolling up. He's like, Shay here, Shay here, a little bit of a shaky pass rush here. What do you guys think? I tried my best to get it out there, but sometimes my wide receivers just can't catch the ball. Shay, what do you
Did you practice that?
Is that where you went before the show? Is that where you went?
That's what I was doing. I was practicing my Carson Wentz 1930s mobster.
I feel like you didn't tell us that you were going to do that. I was surprised by you.
And he just has has like a little like cigar that he's like shame while he's up on the podium.
Hey, good that you learn something new every day. I didn't know you had that one in the bag, Natalie.
You're full of surprises.
I know why people get upset with Carson Wentz, and myself included. All right, last week we all know that I was intensely crucial.
Yeah, you were.
Right, I get it. I think what a lot of people expect with Carson Wentz is, if we're going to bill you as that guy, right, you should, as you said, overcome the sins of this offense and be good enough that when we don't have our best, we find a way to win a game.
Right.
Carson did that against Green Bay. But more than not, you're not necessarily seeing that type of play. But all things considered, yeah, okay, he left a couple throws out there.
Right.
But he was very mobile in the pocket. He extended a lot of plays.
Mobile.
Again, we said earlier, his playmakers aren't really making plays for him.
Right.
So for me, I'm not going to put this one on the quarterback.
No. Absolutely not.
One thing I really did like about what I saw from 11 today that we're not used to seeing is a little bit of emotion.
Yeah.
I love it.
A little fiery.
Fired up.
But I may have heard a curse word slip. I don't know, Carson.
I think he said fiddlesticks.
It could have been fiddlesticks. But you like to see that from your quarterback. You like to see him heated a little bit. You buy into that stuff.
I like to see that a little bit because, again, like you want to see fire from your quarterback. You want to see a guy, a little moxie, a little gutsy. As long as you're not throwing guys under the bus, as long as you're not shifting the blame off of you, I think people feed off of that.
And that's what you need from a leader. And, Wentz is the leader from here on out. He's been declared that. He's paid to be the leader. That's what you want to see because that's what's going to get your team fired up.
Right.
And, everybody knows Carson's the nice guy, the North Dakota boy, blah, 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 blah. No, I need him on fire, and that's what I got today. I was so happy to see that.
Yeah, and I don't know if I necessarily buy into it in the long term. I think it's part of the competition and the frustration.
Oh, yeah, but that's when it needs to come out.
Right. But I don't know, what I mean to say is I don't know that that's necessarily going to translate to anything that happens during the week or even in Dallas next week. I don't think you're going to see, a new Carson Wentz and a guy that shows his, basically wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want a quarterback that reacts all the time and shows his emotions on the field. You want that steadied quarterback that you can lean on. Yeah. But by and large, I don't think this is really going to change who Carson is.
I don't think it is. But the thing is, it's even more so when it comes from a guy like Carson Wentz that it has that much of a positive effect on the rest of the team.
I find it
because the calm guy, when he's fired up, that's when it's like, hey, this is legit.
I find it to be a sign of quarterback growth, if you will. Very zen.
Sure.
It's quarterback growth.
Whatever it takes.
My emotions.
We're trying to win games. Whatever it takes.
That's growth.
Well, so speaking, let's stay on quarterbacks because there was another quarterback in this game, and there was a linebacker in Philadelphia by the name of Zach Brown that happened to call Kirk Cousins the weakest link on that offense.
Hey.
Come on.
Natalie, this might be one he wants to take back.
Take back, I think, is putting it lightly since he refused to even acknowledge after the game that he even addressed it earlier in the week. I mean, look. We thought we had Kirk Cousins' numbers, whatever. He had those weapons today. There was a lot, again, the mismatches. He couldn't, we made him look like a star today, and it's unfortunate. And I'm pretty sure Zach Brown is what's to cancel.
It's pretty much the truth, too. Kirk Cousins improves to 6-3 all-time against the Eagles. 21 touchdowns.
Yep.
The guy balls out. He's got 5 300-yard games against the Eagles in his career. Another 330 yards to that today and 4 touchdowns.
That's the thing. When you say, quote, you want Kirk Cousins to get it in his hands, you can't give up 3 touchdowns and a field goal on the first 3 drives that Minnesota has. Like, you have to back up your word. Zach Brown, I know you had 5 tackles, only 1 unassisted, but you have to play better than that when you say that on a Friday heading into a big game like this.
And look, I'm not one for bulletin board material. I think it's overused. I think it's overplayed. Ultimately, whoever lines up on the field and executes, usually the more talented player will win no matter how motivated the quote-unquote underdog is. So don't buy into that per se. But can we be a little smarter about it?
Do you think
we're already struggling a little bit on
do you
defense.
believe in jinxes? I normally don't. However, he's a jinx today. I don't believe in jinxes, but that was a jinx.
Well, the heck with jinx and rumors and all that. Since 1990, the team that goes to 4-2 goes to the playoffs 62% of the time. The team that goes to 3-3 only goes 38%.
No.
So I don't want to ruin your day, but I'm just letting you know. I'll tell you what, Nat.
Yes.
I know something that we will 100% focus on in the next block. Is going to be a little something that we'll call it the tablet that you have mounted in your living room. Disguised as a television.
This is carrying over to this show now?
Garnered a lot of conversation this week.
Goodness.
We'll dig into that on the other side when we return. Burton's outside.
With you, presented by your Philadelphia area local Chevy dealer. Visit ChevyDealer.com. Your teams are always the trending topic on the Mike Missanelli Show. Watch weekdays from 2 to 6 on NBC Sports Philadelphia.
Have you ever played one-day fantasy football? Now's your chance. Go to DraftKings.com to build your own lineup by choosing players and staying under the salary cap. Here's a look at the players we focused on in the 1 o'clock games. And by we, I mean our friend Russ Jackson came out to the authentic fan party with tradesmen. Shout out Russ.
All right, let's get into the meat here. Last week, Natalie,
Yes.
you had this doozy.
I did.
Here's my TV. The world is more bothered by it
They
than
are.
I am.
They are. Look, let me tell you.
Well, hold on. Before you tell me about that, I wanted to make sure you felt at home when we were watching the game today. Obviously, Roy and I, we're taking our notes, but we had to prop up a nice little tablet for you.
Bunch of,
get nice and cozy, feel right at home.
Bunch of comedians around this place, and I will
Defend
tell
yourself.
you, that picture is deceiving. My television is 32 inches, and in addition to my razor sharp reflexes that I show on the regular, I also have X-ray vision.
You have razor sharp reflexes?
I have razor sharp
She's got a
reflexes
1930s
and X-ray vision. Look, here it is. 32 inches bad. Look, see that? It's not as
went
small
diagonal with it. You did that correct.
as the world believes. I don't know why everybody's so bothered. It's a fine size.
So whose house did you go to take that measurement?
Very funny, Roy. That is my house, and now welcome everybody. Now you see my TV.
Apple Watch.
32
She has
inches.
I do want to say, as a fellow Temple grad, I want to, applaud you for your ingenuity, because you took an Apple iPhone 4 and used it, propped it up as a
totally
television.
unfair.
It's amazing,
I'm inviting everybody over.
So I'm amazed. So,
Movie night at Nats.
Yeah, well, see, and I guess maybe I'm just old and I have bad eyes. I don't know, but for me, the bigger the better. Like, I need a television where I can feel the sound. See, I just want to be engulfed in it.
Never have a TV that's too big.
I see things on my TV just fine. I read books. I watch podcasts. My TV size, not that important to me. I'm sorry.
Well,
It's probably like the least millennial thing ever, but that's me.
size isn't everything, Roy.
That's what I was told.
That's what they say, right? Okay, look, that'll wrap it up for us. Next week, a big one, another big one in this stretch of 6. But this time, Sunday night in Dallas, taking on the Cowboys. That's an 8:20 game. Directly following that game, tune in with Michael Barkan and the boys on Eagles post game. And then after that, late in the night, it's us, Roy Burton, Natalie Egenolf, Jason Ashworth. We'll see you next week on Birds Outsiders, presented by Sugar House Casino.